Howdy, howdy, fellow movie watchers, and welcome back for another edition of the Wisco Movie Watchers podcast, brought to you by PTE Creative. As always, we're your hosts, Evan Davies, and our resident non-expert expert of the Oscars, Dylan Davies. Now, as everyone should know by that intro already, we are doing our second to last Oscars retrospective for a while, at the very least, as we are covering the years of 2014 to 2018 today. And we have one more full show for next month before we get to our Oscars preview for 2025, and it should be a heck of a lot of fun. So we're going to be covering the years 2014 through 2018. I was shocked at some of the quality of these years, because for some reason this is like just a weird ether zone where I either saw almost everything or I saw like nothing.
Yeah, this is definitely where I get into the years where I saw literally everything. Like anything that was awards contender I saw.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely like if it had any hope of being an Oscars contender I saw.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was in the movie theater quite a bit during this time and hunting down movies, because that's what you do when you're an adult with little money. You can do something, but you can't do a ton. So the best thing you can do is go to the movie theater for cheap, because you can't afford vacations, you can't afford half that stuff. You know, of vacations, like, I went all the way to the lake for the week, and it was covered for me essentially. So this is,
and most of the time I was not going to the theater. I was watching these illegally because I couldn't watch them in the theater.
Allegedly.
Oh yeah, of course. I think the statute of limitation is up, so I think I'm good.
Allegedly this happened. I saw a lot of these things in theaters though, and we're gonna start with a banger of a year for film. 2014 is fucking loaded, dude, with a lot of good films. So, to set the scene, as we always do, released in 2014, Guardians of the Galaxy, Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, Captain America Winter Soldier, the original Lego movie, Transformers Age of Extinction, which I did then confirm that we are doing the domestic number ones, not the internationals. And I'm okay with that in our big box office series, but that's just a side note for us, because Age of Extinction is the highest grosser in 2014 internationally, which makes me hate the world even more. But still in 2014 we have Maleficent, X-Men Days of Future Past, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which is a tremendous film, Big Hero 6, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Godzilla, 22 Jump Street, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I think that's the first Michael Bay one, if I remember correctly. Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies, Interstellar, How to Train Your Dragon 2. All kinds of good films coming out during this time. A lot of good sequels as well. So, good times here in 2014.
Yeah. A couple notes on the Oscars itself. This is the 19th nomination for Meryl Streep. Always nice to see. This is a ceremony where every single Best Picture nominee at least one award, so that's always nice to see.
Some balance. Okay.
Yeah, and this is the first time where that happened, where since it had been expanded to a larger number than 5, so it's nice to see at least every single nominee getting at least some recognition.
Well, it shows that it's a race,
and then
it shows that it actually is a competition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then 3 of the 4 acting winners were first-time nominees, which I love seeing that. That's awesome. And then this was also the year where hashtag Oscars So White happened. So that was like the entire controversy, where this year is where it started, where you had to really face a reckoning of, okay, how do you change the Oscars? You have to either change the way your voting body, how they vote, or you have to change your voting body altogether. So how do you do that? You either have to, yeah, you have to fight more people, especially more people of color
Yeah.
and younger people,
Yeah.
or you have to change the way people vote, which you can't do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to just invite younger people and more people of, which is exactly what they started.
Well, I think it's a pretty good reflection of the next couple
Yeah,
of years
exactly.
afterwards. That's how it
Exactly. After
works,
this, you start seeing a lot more diversity.
which is good. Um, yeah, no, it is. It's interesting to hear that one this year round, especially
Yeah.
knowing what comes up in the next couple of years. Where you're like, oh, there's an explosion of people of color actually, in comparison to what used to be. I shouldn't say
Well,
explosion
literally
in general, but
all all the acting nominees were white.
yeah,
Literally all of them. So yeah, I mean it's warranted.
it's a fair thing to observe. And going through the next couple years, it's abundantly clear that they did something right. Whether it's fully right, who knows? But at least we're getting closer to the right direction because you're seeing a lot more people of color nominated for things
Yes.
and winning things. So that's a positive. But good competitive year nonetheless here. So it's going to be a lot of fun to
So
go through.
technical changes, what do you got?
I makeup and hairstyling. The nomination was Guardians of the Galaxy. I would have went with win for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep. I have that exactly.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy, the makeup and
I
hairstyling is
honestly
phenomenal.
I honestly I love Grand Budapest Hotel. I don't really understand the win. Like
It feels very much like
there's nothing about that movie that is special in terms of makeup and
well,
hairstyling
that's what's hilarious is I love Grand
whereas like
Budapest Hotel.
whereas
And
like Guardians of the Galaxy is that's like all that movie is.
yeah, and that's what's funny to me is I love Grand Budapest Hotel. And when I was going through the categories, a lot of the time I'd be like, I don't know, understand why I won that one. I don't understand why I won that one. But then categories that it was nominated for, I was like, I think it deserves that one more than the other person
Yeah,
that got it.
exactly.
Just strange to see how it goes. I also would have liked to see possibly a nomination, as much as it's not a good film, but it's good in this category. The Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies. I think the makeup and hairstyling deserves a nomination in that. It all
Sure.
looks tremendous. The dwarves all look great. The elves look tremendous with the hairstyling and everything. I just think it deserves a nom. It's not a great
I
movie,
think
but it deserves a nom in that category.
yeah, I think they got a nomination for the first one, but I think that's just their way of thinking is we nominated the first one, we don't need to nominate the third.
And that's not how it should work. I
It's
understand.
not, but I think that's their way of thinking.
We're currently
Um
going. I don't know if it's going to be announced by the time this, because this one we're recording this January 8th, but this is going to come out like the 17th or 18th, whatever day that is on the calendar. So I don't know if they're going to announce the NFL MVP by that time. No, they won't, because they'll do it at NFL Honors. But it's what's happening in the NFL right now. Everyone's like, it's Josh Allen's. And then if you look, Lamar Jackson leads every single category. His team has performed arguably better, and they beat the Bills. You're like, well, Lamar got it last year. You're like, well, that doesn't mean he didn't play
that
better
shouldn't
than
happen.
Josh Allen this year. It just means you don't want to give it to the same person. That's horse shit. And it's the
Yeah.
same thing I feel with movies. It's like just because you nominated it once or they won once doesn't mean you shouldn't do it again if it's the same standard or even higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's obnoxious to say the least.
Is that the only
Oh, I have
ones you
some
had?
more. I got. I'm gonna always fight for my boy Hans Zimmer. Original score, I think, should have went to Interstellar. I think the scores to that movie are tremendous.
I wouldn't hate that. I actually really enjoy the Interstellar
The
score.
Interstellar music is what makes that movie epic.
Yeah, No Time for Caution is
Oh my
one of the
god,
one of the best songs
one
ever.
of it's one of the best scenes you'll ever see in a movie, regardless of if Interstellar has some holes, which it does. but the docking sequence in
It is great.
Interstellar is one of the greatest scenes in movie history. I don't care what anybody tells me. It is so fucking good. And the music is what brings that intensity to it.
And jumping off that, I'll say it didn't get a nomination, but one I had down was film editing. A nomination for would have been
Yeah,
another
the
one.
the editing there is tremendous. It's almost as if that's like this weird standard during this time in which it feels very much Inception like again with Interstellar going through these categories where say what you will, Interstellar has flaws. It's still a damn good movie.
It's a good. It was not received well, though. I think it was so hyped up. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, it's Christopher Nolan, and he's on this incredible hot streak of just making.
Yeah, but I remember that movie being like incredibly hyped up,
Oh yeah, yeah,
like to a point that it could never live up to.
yes. And that's the thing is, I even went in as a huge Christopher Nolan fanboy, going like, okay, it's not The Dark Knight, it's not it's not Inception, but it's still fucking great. So,
Yeah,
but yes, it went in with the hype train that was too high to get past. But the big thing here for me was always it just feels like Interstellar categories it should get nominated or should win for it doesn't, but then it gets recognition towards like Best Picture time, and you're like, Inception got the same thing, where it's just like Inception
it
didn't
didn't
win.
get nominated. It didn't get nominated for Best Picture, but it got nominated. It won for visual effects, which I find, which I that's one of those things where kind of is like a boiling point to me, where that's where I see the Oscars. It shows a boiling point of, okay, are we focusing on, it was a boiling point of, we focusing on practical effects mixed with CGI, or are we going full like performance capture kind of thing? Because it was either Dawn of the Planet of the Apes or Interstellar.
Yeah,
Like it could have went one of those two. And then when it went Interstellar, I was like, okay, I was fully on board with that. It's just shows
stuff.
a yeah, it shows a yeah a difference of opinion. I think in the voting base, which I'm okay with.
I'm okay with as long as it's recognized because honestly, it's such an achievement what mocap has done for the entertainment industry in
Exactly, that's the
general.
problem.
And mocap is a game changer. You can bring these characters to life that could never be brought to life before, and we can give. Like I just look at Smaug from the year before that mocap performance, where you can actually get a little bit of tinge of the Benedict Cumberbatch performance in
Yeah,
Smaug, and you can make this dragon not just like this huge beast thing, but you can make it a true character in a movie. Visual effects that immediately is big, and that's why Dawn of the Planet of the Apes they're opening up the world to all of all the apes being huge players in this
yeah,
in this world, and to only and I remember watching Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and just going, God damn, this is fucking like, and I was
yeah.
so
It
impressed with the visual
looks
effect.
incredible.
And then Interstellar, I'm okay with winning over it because they're creating full worlds and having to create things that we as crazy as it sounds, we can comprehend a chimp talking, right?
True.
Because
Yeah,
we can see how it moves, see how it does things, and our brain can make that one little leap from it can't speak intelligently to it can start speaking intelligently. But none of us, outside of a very, very few privileged people on the planet, have ever been to space, can ever visualize half of the shit that
yeah.
Interstellar's talking about. So I understand it. It's just I think the Academy doesn't know what to do with mocap. I would almost as it gets more and more prevalent, I wish they would just make a
Yes.
mocap category.
Well, that's the thing is like it's especially they don't know what to do with performance capture performances
Yeah,
because they never recognize them.
yeah.
Because that's actually one thing I wanted to say about last episode that we talked about that actually just came up recently in an interview with Zoe Saldana. I thought her performance in Avatar should have been nominated, and it's like she never gets recognized for those movies.
Hmm.
She's incredible in those movies. Like she completely disappears into that role.
Yeah,
Like you see no aspect of Zoe Saldana in that performance.
no, unless you're specifically looking for the you can see little tinges of resemblance in the face, but that's it. You have to
Yeah, like
you have to
you can
strain. It's
you completely buy that it is a completely alien person.
yeah.
Like it's incredible her performance in there. So like and it there's no different like that he completely disappears into that role. So they just don't know what to do with that. I don't know why, but
I
for some
almost
reason they downplay it.
I almost wish they would just make another category.
I we'll talk about that in 2018. I'll talk about that where they talk about a possible expansion of a category that did not go down. Uh, yeah,
I have a few more technical categories here. I would have liked just a nod to Guardians of the Galaxy and costume design. I think the costume design in that is damn good. Makes everything feel very alien, but yet familiar. It's a hard thing to pull off, and they do a good job with that. Original screenplay, I think, should have went to Grand Budapest Hotel. I think that's where the brilliance of Wes Anderson is seen, is on the page, and the
yeah.
execution that's on the page.
I had I had either Grand Budapest or I would have been okay with none as well. Either of those two I think are worthy over Birdman.
Yeah. And then adapted screenplay, I could see truly either Guardians of the Galaxy or Captain America: Winter Soldier as an adapted screenplay nom. I don't know if they deserve the win, but both bring a gravitas to a material that was never respected. So where
Sure.
Captain America: Winter Soldier is a true political thriller that just happens to have a superhero in it. It's not a
Yeah.
superhero movie with some political stuff in it. Same deal with Guardians of the Galaxy. You're bringing so many relatable things into an unrelatable world and allowing people to experience something that is so
Yeah.
different, and that comes out in the page. And is it Nicola Perlman or Nicole Perlman? I can't remember which wrote the first draft, and then a lot of that was kept. And James Gunn, apparently, James Gunn fought in a not very nice way to try to get her discredited from the film. And you're like,
Oh, really?
yeah, it's the first time I ever heard anything negative about James Gunn besides he's weird or has
Ooh,
tweets
that's
that
not
don't
good.
age well comedically. But apparently, he very much tried to get her writing credit off of that because he felt that the script that he eventually wrote for the final draft of the film that was executed didn't have enough of her in it. And
Eh, I don't buy that. I never like that. At least give her story by or something.
well, my issue is this: I'm not in that situation. I don't know,
Yeah, that's true.
but at the same time, I don't understand why anybody, when there's a legitimate thing, like she wrote the whole first draft, she
Well,
wrote the whole thing,
that's what
and
the
then
that's what WGA arbitrators are there for.
yeah,
Literally, they're there to negotiate that kind of stuff.
and that's where I just go, if they think that's, she's got a huge credit to the point where it has to say written by or even story by, what's the harm in that?
Yeah.
And the other thing is this: is even if you privately say, I don't think she deserves that, how does that help you? I'm not saying she doesn't. I don't know anything about it besides the initial story of, yeah, he tried to get her off the credits of that. But I don't understand. Just be the babyface politically. Just come out and say,
True.
she wrote a
Yeah,
great
you
first
don't need to do that
draft.
publicly.
Yeah, you don't have to do that anyways, but if it ever comes up and if someone ever hears, oh, I heard we went into some arbitration for the Writers Guild, you can say, hey, there were some discrepancies, but I thought she did a great first job, and, uh, to me, I think she deserves the credit, and more power to her, and we went with my final draft instead, though, and that's okay. But she did a great job, and she deserves credit for it. Just say that, and guess what? Everyone's gonna go, oh, see, he was fair and he was honest, and nothing was gonna happen, and everyone will treat you better for it when it comes out publicly like that. Versus, or like you
Yeah,
said, just don't do it in public. But
yeah,
when the stories come out enough that happens, it makes it slimy. Just makes it slimy.
yeah, yeah. That's unfortunate,
Yeah.
especially because he seems like such a nice guy
Well,
outside of that.
well, what's crazy is that's the thing is he's so artist first. He's That's
Yeah,
what he's doing with DC right now, where he's like, we're not doing anything without a true artist making something and us approving the script. We're not going to just be the studio that says, we want Batman, make Batman. We want The Flash, make The Flash. He's delayed multiple movies because they don't have a script. He wants them to be in the best shape possible. And he's not doing all of them. So it's just such a strange thing to be in this world where he's, you know, a studio head member, but at the same time, there's this thing 10 years ago where you're like, really? We're gonna fight over this? This is just, who
yeah.
cares?
A couple of mine I had. It would have been nice to see a adapted screenplay nomination for Gone Girl. I'm actually surprised it didn't get one.
That was horseshit. That was
Um,
horseshit.
and this would never happen, but it would have been great to see original screenplay nomination for the Babadook. Never would have happened because it's horror, but would have loved to see.
Yeah, I can
Um,
see that.
then jumping into the bigger categories, so you got Alejandro Inarritu winning for Birdman for director, Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything, Leanne Moore finally winning an Oscar for Still Alice for actress, supporting actor J.K. Simmons for Whiplash, and then supporting actress Patricia Arquette for Boyhood. And Eddie Redmayne, J.K. Simmons, Patricia Arquette are all first time.
Stacked category. The best actor category is insanely stacked that year.
Yeah. Also curious, I just love that you have Eddie Redmayne and Benedict Cumberbatch playing like those big like giants of science.
Yeah.
Now. It's weird that it just happens to be in the same year.
What are the nominees for best actor again?
You okay?
It's
I
Eddie
maybe
Redmayne for Theory of
uh,
Everything. It's Benedict Cumberbatch for Imitation Game.
so pretty much it was pretty much the race was down to just Michael Keaton versus Eddie Redmayne. The other nominees were Benedict Cumberbatch, Bradley Cooper for American Sniper, and then Steve Carell for Fox.
That's a stacked five, dude. All five
Yeah,
are extremely worthy in many years to win.
yeah, and then the biggest snub was I'm blanking on for Selma for playing MLK Jr.
Yeah.
Uh, Yellow or whatever is.
Yeah, David Oyelowo. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that one being a big deal. Like, how did he not? And then you look at the other five. It's one of those that the criticism that we talked about earlier is absolutely correct. And I haven't seen Selma. I've seen clips of Selma, so I'm not.
Selma's. It's mediocre, honestly. I don't really think it's that great.
There's a lot of historical dramas that get way too much recognition that are just okay because they tell
Yeah,
impactful stories in an emotional way. But honestly, a lot of people just go, "So how could you not?" And it's like, just because it's a biopic or just because it's about something that's really important. I remember a movie that never got any recognition that I really liked. It was called Bobby. It was about the assassination of Bobby Kennedy. And it goes through the whole day and like all these different
seen that.
characters. I fucking love that movie. It's never talked about ever. And honestly, can I look at it and say, is that an Academy Award winning esque film? I don't think so. I think it's a good movie and it deserves some recognition for just being a good movie. But that's a perfect example to me. It's, hey, just because it's an historical drama
Yeah.
and goes through like all these different stories in a really good way does not inherently mean it
Yeah.
wins. And that's not to take anything away from Selma as someone who has not watched the full. But when you specifically when it comes to that actor, this category is not one where you just go, why'd they make it? All five of them have a true, legitimate,
Yeah.
like, god damn, they were good this year.
All five are actually great performances, I will say. There's not one where I go like,
Yeah, exactly. That all five are just incredible in the way they handle things. But I have no bitch with it. It maybe in looking back from what I'm seeing, I don't think I change anything. I don't know, but there's part of me that's like, I don't know about Eddie Redmayne, but then I kind of just go, well, which one do I think is better?
he's he's great in that movie
He
though.
is, but I also think they're all great in all the other movies, so it's kind of hard to be like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
But yeah, I don't have a bitch about that one. I have a change for best actress, and then I have the obvious question that you know I'm gonna ask in supporting actress.
What's your change in actress then?
Rosamund Pike. She's so fucking good in Gone Girl. It's incredible.
I
She is so
okay.
good. It's
See,
absurd. You
the
hate
thing
that
is
woman.
like,
You absolutely hate that person.
see, the problem is when I saw Gone Girl, I was like, oh, okay, I think she's gonna win. But then going into Still Alice, I heard like, okay, Julianne Moore's probably gonna win for this. I had heard that before the movie, and then when I saw Still Alice, I was like, okay, never mind, Julianne Moore's gonna win. I was like, yeah. So when I saw it, it just confirmed it for me. I do that all the time. I hear things like going into stuff, and I just it for me.
Okay.
Um, she's great in that fucking movie, Julianne Moore. Like, I have to say, like, does deserve it. But I will agree, like, if it wasn't Julianne Moore, it would be Rosamund.
Rosamund Pike is.
Absolutely fantastic.
Rosamund Pike is an
She's so
actress
fucking hateable in that.
so hateable. And the thing about it is, she's an actress who she really didn't do much of a grand scale prior. She did
Not
Bond.
really.
She did Bond in 2002, and it was it's by far the worst Pierce Brosnan Bond, but one of the lesser Bonds that makes you go, we got to revitalize this franchise. So she's got that stink on her with some bad dialogue in it. And I think she's good with what she's given, but
Um, the Invisible Car one is.
yes, it's the Invisible Car
Yeah,
one where
yeah,
she's the double agent for MI6, but she's also working for the villain.
yeah.
She's
Like,
the foil to Halle Berry's character.
okay, yeah. It's like the worst one.
Yeah, it's by far the worst Pierce one. It's a bad Bond movie, but it's like that's the only thing I can even remember her doing on like a big scale prior to Gone Girl.
Yeah, that's
And I remember
true.
the preview to Gone Girl coming out. I was like, I know her, and I many people that I knew were like, who's that? I was like, it's fucking Rosamund Pike. She's from James Bond, and everyone's like, what James Bond movie? I was just like, Die Another Day. They're like, why the fuck would I care? Then I was like, fair. That's a very fair thing to say. But she's one of those actresses I just wish would do more. Anytime she pops up, I'm excited because she always does a good
She's
job.
still not in that much.
I know. It drives me insane.
Uh,
I would love her
yeah,
in a lot of different roles. She'd be great in a lot of stuff.
yeah. The only other one that had some competition was director. It was, but the thing is, like, it's down to Birdman is not like it's one take. So it's like that is difficult in a sense,
Yeah.
but it's like a hidden one. So, which at this point, everyone knows how it's done. Like back then, people didn't understand how it was done. Like they didn't understand how you're hiding the cuts
Yeah.
in there. Like I had no idea how they were hiding the cuts. And then you had Richard Linklater, who shot a movie over 12 years, which with the same actors is incredible.
Yeah, it's unheard of.
It's like incomplete, but at the same time, it is like the movie all that great. At times it's great, and at times it's eh.
Well, that's always what is the big thing about that movie is everyone says, "Oh, he shot it over 12 years." Okay, well, what's the quality? Eh,
The problem
up and
is
down.
it starts amazingly strong. Like all the stuff where it starts with the kids, it's just when they start aging into adults, it's weird. So
Okay.
yeah, uh, I that's the thing is I had that change down. I would have went with Linklater only because like I think that's incredible that he did that. Like that's a complete feat. But
Sure.
at the same time, I understand the criticism. Like, does he deserve it just for that?
That's my big thing is if you're saying the quality of the movie ebbs and flows a lot based off the process that he does, which is an amazing process, does it deserve it over a movie like Birdman that is legitimately great?
And if it wasn't for that, I actually would have went with Damien Chazelle for Whiplash,
Okay.
just because I love that movie.
Sure.
Because that movie has like so much kinetic energy that is just like absolutely insane at times. And
Sure.
J.K. Simmons is like absolute fucking bastard. And I'm so glad he won.
Heels got to win, man. I don't
Yeah,
like I don't like a lot of the time when award season comes around and the heels don't win. The bad guys got to win. To have a great good guy, you need a great bad guy. And
yeah.
it's just
Yeah, he has he reminds me of a lot of Louis Gossett Jr. in An Officer and a Gentleman, where he's just a complete fucking asshole the entire movie, but for some reason you still kind of like him.
yeah, well
Like,
that's matching a
yeah,
performance, man. To stay in the acting categories, I have to ask the question here. Why the fuck is Meryl Streep nominated for Into the Woods?
I have
Total
no
bullshit.
idea.
Total
It is
bullshit.
total. I agree. It is complete bullshit. It is so baffling.
This is the issue. 2014 is by far landslide the Oscars that I know the most about in terms of the movies that I actually saw. When I can go through categories and when I've seen all of that, or I've seen out of five, or whatever, and I can actually give you a true opinion. And I saw Into the Woods, and I can tell you, Into the Woods is not good. And
Oh, it isn't good.
Meryl Streep is good. She's not Oscar worthy.
Not even remotely Oscar
And
nominee.
and
Oh,
that's where it just felt like that was another one, much like the first thing you brought up, in which Why So White, you know, was that above anything else just went, this Academy cannot A, get past a musical not getting some fucking recognition, and B, they cannot get past Meryl Streep worked, ergo she must win. Or she must get
yeah.
nominated. And it
That one is the
baffling.
most baffling. Yeah, that
So
one's
baffling.
the worst
Do you
example
have
of it.
someone that should be replacing her? Theoretically.
I actually did have Anne Hathaway and Interstellar down.
She's fucking
That's
incredible in that film.
just a shout out to her. I don't know. I didn't really research all that much more off the top of my head. Trying to think of other
Here's my issue with
uh
this is I can go through
for 2014.
just off the top of my head. I think Anne Hathaway is a better I don't know if she would qualify as a lead or a support, but at the same time,
It'd have to be supporting. It have.
it's bullshit because you can look and see you're like, they're not the lead in that movie, and you're like, well, they are for this category.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think Anne Hathaway is a great shout out in Interstellar. I'm not saying it's the world's greatest performance of all time, but it's better than what Meryl's. This is my bitch. Meryl Streep is just baseline good. No one could dispute that. No one's disputing she's great. Into the Woods is not special in any way, shape, or form. I can make a better argument for Scarlett Johansson in fucking Captain America and the Winter Soldier as a supporting actress than I can for Meryl Streep in Into the Woods.
True. I mean, I'm looking at just other 2014.
I mean, I can look at Zoe Saldana and supporting actress for Guardians of the fucking Galaxy, or Karen Gillan as Nebula is better than Meryl Streep in Into the Woods. This is just me off the top of my fucking head doing this shit.
Yeah, I mean, it is just it doesn't make sense, but it's just never going to make sense. That's the
Or
problem.
I'll give you another one because it won't ever get enough credit because this year is loaded. Days of Future Past. I think Jennifer Lawrence is a great supporting actress in that movie, better than Meryl Streep as in Into the Woods.
It's true. Although, I guess she would be supporting. She's not in enough of the movie to lead.
Yeah, that movie is
Yeah, that's
led by
true.
Hugh Jackman and Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy. And Jennifer
Yeah.
Lawrence is a supporting player in that. And she's great in that. That's the last great performance she ever does as a comic book character. And then
Oh,
she just
100%.
stops.
After that, she just goes, "Fuck this! I'm done acting."
She's done. But
Yeah.
that's why I just go, looking at a list quickly, I think I just found three people far more worthy, or four people
Yeah.
far more worthy than Meryl Streep in that performance.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Baffling.
Just a couple of quick shout outs. Jake Gyllenhaal never gets recognized for anything he does for some reason. So
For
it would have
Nightcrawler?
been great. Nightcrawler. Ben Affleck is great. Gone Girl.
Yeah, that one
Then
bothered me too, that Ben Affleck didn't get one.
and Ray Fiennes is great and Grand Budapest. And it's horror, so it's never out. But Essie Davis is great and Abaddon. Jumping into Best Picture, actual winner is Birdman, and other nominees: Hyper, Boyhood, Imitation Game, The Theory of Everything, Selma, Whiplash, The Grand Budapest Hotel.
I'm fine with the win. I wouldn't change a thing.
You wouldn't change any nominees?
I don't have a replacement.
Okay, I took out.
I tried to look at Interstellar, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Guardians of the Galaxy, or possibly Captain America Winter Soldier to be like, could one of those be deserving of that? And
Mhm.
in this year I was like, I don't know if I have enough ammunition to make
Yeah,
that work.
I see. We talked about it a little bit, but I took out Selma only because I think it whitewashes is a bad word for that movie, but it kind of does like trying to think of the good word. It sanitizes the story of MLK Jr. because it just doesn't tell the whole truth. You know, it it doesn't go to any kind of it glorifies him too much.
It doesn't show the human elements. Like, yeah, he did cheat on his wife, and yeah, he
Yeah,
wasn't always the
exactly.
best dude of all time.
It makes him into a complete saint, which he was not. It should show him as a human.
Well, also
I would have
it makes it more compelling because then you
exactly. I That's one of the things I don't enjoy about that movie. So I took out that and I took out American Sniper. I enjoy American Sniper. I just don't love it all that
to me, I
much.
think American Sniper is a movie of performances. I don't know if it's a total experience worthy of that. I thought about American Sniper, but I was like, yeah, but
I I just don't love that movie all that much. I mean,
it's a
it's a
glorification of
good
something that I don't feel needs to be glorified.
I mean, it is like a
It's a
good
damn good
poignant
movie,
story
though.
of like it's a good poignant story about PTSD, which I just feel like it's almost 8 years too late. Like it should have come out much closer to the Iraq War.
Yeah,
Sorry, Iraq War. So place of those, I put Gone Girl and Nightcrawler, and then I don't love Birdman all that much. I love all the performances in it. I don't love the movie.
I love Birdman.
So
I think Birdman's a great movie.
so I put in place of that the Grand Budapest Hotel, which when we do our top 100, you'll see why.
So I don't have any more discussion about the Oscar itself. So I'm just going to kind of go into favorites because I think that'll tell you some stuff. As we always do our favorite from each year.
Oh, yep.
One I would shout out is when I am looking through a ranking that may or may not be really important for next week's show. Maybe not that show in particular, but the topic that we're going to start covering, which is our top 100. Grand Budapest Hotel will make an appearance.
Yeah.
Grand Budapest Hotel sticks with me more than Birdman. But Birdman's so fucking good.
I mean, the performance.
I love Birdman.
Yeah. A lot. Every single performance in it is incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
Like literally every single performance.
It's one of those that I remember in the time frame. I don't know if I saw Birdman before Theory of Everything and Imitation Game or not. But I went, how the fuck is he going to lose this? I remember like Michael Keaton, I was like, how are they going to rob my boy? How are they going to do this? Because I know they won't give it to Batman, and it's bullshit. Just, how is he going to get robbed? And then I saw Theory of Everything, and I just went, oh shit, this is a race. I saw Imitation Game and went, oh fuck, this is a real race. And then I saw American Sniper, and I went, movie? Good, not great. This performance by Bradley Cooper? Fuck, that's a good performance. Okay. Like,
yeah. Yeah, it is always, there's years where it's like, fuck. Like, there's someone you really love that just gets in a close race. And there's years where it's like, someone you don't love is the clear
cut favorite, yeah.
Fucking A.
Yeah, but
it happens.
As of right now, I would say my two favorites from 2014 would be the Grand Budapest Hotel and Captain America: Winter Soldier. Those would be my two favorites of the year.
Yeah, it'd be close for me too. It'd be Grand Budapest and Guardian.
And that's the other thing, which is crazy, is I almost want to continue the rankings past 100. Not because I really want to go all the way to 150 or 200, but I truly believe, just looking through this list of 2014, that 5 to 10 of these movies would just get right outside the cut of our top 100. Because I love Guardians of the Galaxy, I love Captain America: Winter Soldier, I love Grand Budapest Hotel, I really, really enjoy Interstellar, and there's the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes I was thrilled by, I loved Birdman. It's just like, goddamn. 22 Jump Street's in this year, and I love 22 Jump Street. I'm like, goddamn, this is a good fucking year for a movie.
Good year.
But we're gonna move on to 2015. I have far less to say in the next 4 years than I do about.
Oh, trust me, so do I.
2015. So here we get into the transition almost into what we're seeing of prominence right now. Jurassic World, which another sequel is coming out. Star Wars: The Force Awakens is also revitalized in 2015. Avengers: Age of Ultron is released. Inside Out, Furious 7, Minions, Mockingjay Part 2, The Martian, live action Cinderella, which is the first bigger live action.
Golden Globe nominee for comedy.
Cinderella?
No, or The Martian.
Oh yeah, there's what the fuck. Spectre.
It is such a joke.
Spectre, Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, Pitch Perfect 2, Ant-Man, Home, 50 Shades of Grey is released, and Mad Max Fury Road is also released during this time frame. So 2015 was a good year for the blockbuster. I'm not like Dylan. I'm not going to give you a thumbs down on Jurassic World or Force Awakens or Age of Ultron, but I can't.
Yeah, I gave thumbs sideways for Force Awakens.
I think all three of those are good movies. I think they lead to stuff that's... Age of Ultron, things only get better, not worse. So I'm not... Until modern Marvel in the last couple of years. So I'm not going to say, it doesn't lead to anything great. Jurassic World, I think... By itself, I think Jurassic World is a really fun movie. The franchise afterwards, woof.
Yeah. Well, it definitely gets worse after. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
and Force Awakens, it's not even close that it's the best thing of the sequel
Oh,
trilogy.
100%. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about another one in a couple of years afterwards. So that is 2015. I have a couple of technical changes.
Oh, one sec.
Go for it.
Just a couple things about the ceremony. 50th nomination for John Williams. Nice to see.
Greatest of all time. The GOAT. The true
Um,
GOAT. If you want to talk about movie industry, the true GOAT is
yes.
John Williams.
Yeah. 50 nominations. That's incredible.
On that, I said this last episode, I want to say it again. There is a tremendous documentary called This Is John Williams on Disney Plus. Go fucking watch it. It's incredible. Just covering
Yeah.
John Williams, and every single bit of it, all the music in it is all his, and you just go, how the fuck does this guy do this? Like, how is every great soundtrack to movies always John Williams? And how are they always
Coming out of
iconic?
one brain.
Yeah,
Like, that's incredible.
just like the stories of him. Like, I just saw a clip of Spielberg talking about John Williams making the Raiders March for Indiana Jones, and he has the intro as one version, and he has the hook as the second version. He's like, and
Yeah.
Spielberg just said, "Why don't you just put them together?" He's like, "I'll try," and then he does it, and it's
Yeah.
like, "I'll make it." It's like you already had two pieces of iconic shit right there, and he's like, "What if I just put it together?" It's
I can't
incredible.
wait to talk about. I can't wait to talk about Raiders when we do it because there's so much to talk about with that score. Like
Raiders
every
is
single song is great.
Raiders is so good. Raiders is so good.
Ex Machina wins visual effects on a $15 million budget. The other nominees in the category: Mad Max Fury Road, The Martian, The Revenant, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I'm assuming every single other movie at least had a $50 budget.
Oh yeah.
At least. Maybe The Revenant has less than that, maybe. But The Force Awakens had at least 200 million.
If it's above that, it's because of talent cost. It's not because of visual effects budgets.
Exactly. So yeah, it's incredible. $15 in it. Like that's incredible. And then Spielberg becomes the director with the trying to think of how to say this. Becomes the director with the most Oscar nominations for his film. So all his films combined have 128 nominations.
Huh.
He surpasses William Wyler, who has 120, who directed like Best Years of Our Lives and Roman Holiday, bunch of like great classic stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the best of the best here. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's
128, and I mean now it's even more.
oh yeah, I mean
This is
Spielberg
2015.
Spielberg is film's Tom Brady. Just there's so many things that unless Patrick Mahomes just keeps playing the way he's playing at a high level, it won't be touched simply because of the longevity Brady had. It's the same thing with Spielberg. Spielberg does not make bad movies. I think it's impossible for Spielberg to make a bad movie.
I don't like. I don't see another person surpassing Spielberg
Ever.
I mean, eventually it will happen, but
I don't think it will.
not anytime soon. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. So, a good year nonetheless. I have two technical changes.
Okay, I only have one.
What's your one? Let's go on your one.
Just a nomination for editing for Sicario.
Okay.
I love that fucking movie.
Never
Super
seen it.
underrated.
Never seen it.
It's so you would love it. It is so fucking great. I'm surprised you haven't seen it, Emily Blunt.
I know. I like a.
Laurel?
See, here's my favorite thing. This is how I know I can trust your recommendations, because so many people, there's so many movies that are just we've talked about it on the show, that are just part of the blind spot, where it's like, you would love that, and it's just part of the blind spot that never got done, and now like I can't trust some of the people that are telling me to go watch some of this stuff. The first thing you said about Sicario, besides it being great, what are you talking about? It has Emily Blunt, and you know my love for Emily Blunt. You're like, that's how we're gonna get him. It's not gonna be the action set piece or that. Like, I'm like, I can watch any great action movie ever. That's not a problem. You get me with Emily Blunt.
Yeah, it's Emily Blunt. Roger Deakins is cinematographer. It looks amazing. Oh, it's so great.
Yeah, nice. Cinematography. I would change to Mad Max Fury Road. The cinematography in Mad Max Fury Road is so fucking good.
Trying to think of who won that year. Let's see. Revenant. Eh, hate to say it, but I think the Revenant deserves it. I mean, I would be okay with Mad Max winning it, as I'm fine with Mad Max winning. And it did win a lot, which is great.
It should.
Like, I'm surprised by how much it won that year. When it kept winning, I was like, holy fuck, this is great.
Well, it was a great experience to look at the Oscars that year and just go, huh, y'all motherfuckers actually listened for once, maybe.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was weird. It was really weird when it kept winning. I was like, actually, like,
It just flabbergasted me that that movie was number 15 at the domestic box office. It's not even close that that is the best movie of the year. It's not even close from that standard.
but it's not like a mainstream kind of movie though. Like I'd say 15 is like I'm actually surprised it did that well.
So I just remember we walked into it was the Majestic Theater, Brookfield, Wisconsin. Great Marcus Theater. And I went, I need to at this time there was a really shitty old Marcus Theaters on the south side of Milwaukee that we went to all the time. My wife and I. And I just went, no, 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 no. This is supposed to be crazy, and it's a more convenient time. Let's make the drive to the Majestic. Let's go see Mad Max there. And I remember walking into that theater, and not that many people being there, and within 5 minutes, I went, I've never seen a movie like this in my life.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying like it's a little bit out there for mainstream.
But everybody who watches it is just like, God damn, this is good.
Exactly, but like it is like unconventional choice,
Yeah.
which is what I'm glad it succeeded so much in
Uh,
terms of I think the Oscars did help in terms yeah, at least it did help get some more mainstream.
sure.
At least I like to think that.
Costume design. I can't remember who wins. I think I would have went with Force Awakens. I have Force
I
Awakens.
believe
I think it's Mad Max.
it is Mad Max, yes.
Which is ironic. It's the one category that I'm like, I think I would have went with Force
Yeah,
Awakens. I just think I again, I'm not in the
Force
costume
Awakens.
design department of any fucking studio. But to me, judging a film, what it makes it far more interesting and far more difficult is the vast array of shit that has to be done in Star Wars to make everyone feel the way they do in Force Awakens, where the vast majority of the players in Mad Max are all incredibly the same and not in a super unique
Yeah,
way outside of a few. But at the same time, I get it. You know, a Morton Joe is an incredible costume. The Bullet Farmers are a great costume. I think all the costumes in Mad Max is great. I just think I probably would have went with the Not Awakens.
yeah. It is costume design is one of those things that like I don't fully understand like how
How
they're
they
voting
how they
on.
come to their
Yeah.
conclusion, yeah, that's certainly
Yeah.
something that you will see from me all the time.
But I will say I did call one of the winner or one of the nominees when it came out in March, which was Cinderella. I saw that in March. I was like, this is getting an Oscar. I was right.
I mean, Cinderella of the live action movies is of Disney
That's
is
my favorite one
I don't know if that
of the live
I
action.
don't know if it's that or Beauty and the Beast for me. It's good. They're both good. I just thought
I like
I
it
just thought
more, yeah.
I just thought that there was no way that a live action Emma Watson was never going to be number one in your heart.
Yeah, but that one ruins it because they like auto tune her voice and stuff. Which, but yeah, I mean, it is great to see it anytime.
God, I really wish Emma Watson would act again.
I know, I destroys me.
It just sucks knowing how much talent there is in that woman. and you're just like, why? And she's just like teaching yoga and doing shit. It's what she does. And more power to her. If you can live the rest of your life just doing whatever that hell makes you
Hey,
happy.
she has plenty of money. Let's be honest
Well,
here.
that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you can do that, and she's truly a woman of the world that can kind of do whatever she
Yeah.
wants, and she's intelligent and makes really wise decisions for herself. But like, anytime she even remotely does an interview, I'm excited because I'm like, oh god, she's so fucking talented. Like, God, I wish Emma Watson would do more.
Yeah.
But those are my two technical changes. We can go to the big
All
six
right.
now.
Okay, so jumping in, you got Alejandro and you winning back to back for Revenant. Theo finally getting a win for the Revenant. Actress Brie Larson for Room. Mark Rylance with I don't know if it was exactly underdog performance, but for Bridge of Spies, Vikander or the Danish. Should have been nominated for actress, but studios do what the hell they want.
Studios are just trying to win. That's all it is.
Should have
Uh,
been nominated for actress, but hey, what can you?
hey, you're gonna probably be shocked by this one. Wrong director won.
Oh, I see. I disagree there, but
It's, to me, Mad Max is a spectacle that the direction of that film is insane.
George Miller did win. When did he win? Let me pull up this real quick. Did win.
Especially when you
One
hear
of,
the behind the scenes of how that movie was directed. That is all up here in George Miller's head.
yeah, he did win the Critics' Choice. That's the only thing he did win was Critics' Choice.
The critics were right on this one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I again, it's not like I would have been mad had he won.
Yeah.
It's just those two are like grueling movies, I think, just in different ways.
Sure.
Because it's like you're in the fucking outback of Australia in a grueling way,
Yep.
or you're in the fucking Arctic, just in the fucking cold.
Yeah, and I
So
remember the
it's like,
stories of the Revenant, and you're like, God damn.
yeah, like that. Both must be miserable. So it's just like, okay, which one is worse?
Yeah.
And both have to be like just miserable at times.
That's the
So,
thing. I don't. Part of that was shot in northern Africa, so it's even fucking hotter. Because
oh,
yeah, because
okay,
the thing is, they had to ship the vehicles back and forth from Australia twice because one of the roads, the big sequences on the roads that they were going to use in Australia, they got their like biggest rainstorm in like decades. So it just turned into this like lush
yeah,
valley of the desert, and they're like, "This isn't Mad Max." Like, so
yeah,
they had to
that's
go to,
surprising.
so they had to go up to northern Africa where it's like desolate as fuck to do the vast
Yeah,
majority of it. Uh, I highly recommend. There's a channel called the shit. It was a shit show on YouTube. It is covered so well there. You can also see it on. Oh God, what is the name? It's gonna drive me crazy because I know it's Caravan of Garbage's channel, Mr. Sunday Movies or whatever that is. They also do a great job covering Mad Max Fury Road, the making of it. Anybody who sees those documentaries about how fucked the production of Mad Max was, you'll be astounded how good that movie came out. That
yeah, yeah. And there was like a lot of like turmoil on set with Charlize and Tom Hardy.
well, a lot of that was due to the production. The production was
Yeah,
just so nightmarish that they had a dislike for each other that just turned into hatred because they were
yeah,
constantly being put together in situations that absolutely sucked.
yeah. And then you got Tom Hardy on Revenant. I don't know if there was any turmoil on set of that, but oh, also I did want to shout out Donald Gleason, who had a crazy fucking in 2015. You have The Revenant. You have Force Awakens, you have Ex Machina, and you have Brooklyn, which is an Oscar Best Picture nominee.
Hmm.
That's a crazy fucking year.
Yeah, and he's not doing that much nowadays, and it's bothersome because he's a damn good
Oh, I
actor.
know. He's a ginge. I love him. I lo-
Anything for the
he was
red-haired boys, you know.
he used to be one of my favorite actors, and now yeah, he just doesn't do that much. Bad.
But
Uh,
I have no changes in the directing or acting categories other than the one I just said. I'm ready for Best Picture when you are.
I I think Alicia Vikander won for the wrong movie. I wish she would have had. I wish she would have been nominated for Ex Machina and not the Danish Girl. I
Okay.
wish she would have won for Ex Machina.
You
I
really
think
love Ex Machina.
that's I think that's a popular sentiment online. Like that's pretty popular opinion online is that she was nominated for the wrong movie. Because for one, the Danish Girl, she's the lead in that. Like it's just I think she has more screen time than Eddie Redmayne. Like I'm fairly certain of that.
Huh.
And
Never saw it, so I wouldn't know. Same thing with The Revenant. I've seen bits of The Revenant. I've never seen The Revenant. So.
uh yeah. I mean it's good. I don't love it, but when I saw it I was like, okay, yeah, Leo deserves like can argue. And then supporting actor, he wasn't even nominated, but I would have loved to see Benicio del Toro win for Sicario. That movie just got no recognition from anyone except
There's those movies that just fly under the radar and no one pays attention to them, and
yeah.
it's hurtful as
Although
someone who watches them that loves them.
it did get nominated for a Producer Guild
Huh.
picture,
Interesting.
which that's nice to see. They're surprising though at times. They're a little bit more modern their views because they also had Straight Outta Compton as one of their best movies.
Yeah.
So, like they do have like more modern views. It seems.
I mean, producers, the thing is, people need to realize this. Producers are the true voice of action behind movies a lot of the time. They think it's always director or whatever. The producer's the one making calls, getting shit done. And they have a huge say on what happens and
Yeah,
how things are done.
and they're definitely more. They're gonna be more favorable towards blockbusters.
Always.
So
I mean, because they understand the impact of what that does. And it's the same thing. It's
yeah,
another reason why I worship at the altar of Steven Spielberg. Beyond the fact that he's obviously the best director, he's also a phenomenal producer
yeah,
who backs creators and just makes great stuff. If you just went through a list of the producer roles that Steven Spielberg has, it's a list of classics.
yeah. That's true. Plus, he has like TV credits that are incredible too.
Yeah,
So,
it's just that's he knows what
um,
he's doing.
yeah, a couple of shout outs wasn't not that weren't nominated. Charlize and Fury Road.
Yeah, that one
Um,
is baffling to me.
Emily Blunt in Sicario. Jacob Tremblay in Room. I think he's only like 7 in that movie, but he's incredible. Seth Rogen and Steve Jobs. Jason Mitchell in Straight Outta Compton, right in that movie too. Just a
All right.
couple shout outs.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
Best Picture winner was Spotlight. Other nominees, you got The Big Short, got Brooklyn, and Max Fury Road, The Martian, Room, The Revenant, Bridge of Spy.
You'll be shocked at what I think should be the best picture.
Yeah, I think that's popular sentiment.
Mad Max Fury Road is one of 4 movies I think are perfect. I think Mad Max Fury Road is a perfect film
I
because it
I
is such a
completely
visceral experience where you understand every single shot on a human level with so little dialogue. It's great. It's so good.
have you seen Spotlight?
I have not seen Spotlight.
Okay. When I saw Spotlight, I had to go to
I've seen
Appleton
a
to
lot
see
of
it.
clips of Spotlight.
Okay. I had to go to Appleton to see it, and it was in a. It was like a packed theater of like just me and old people
Yep.
because that's what it's gonna be at those types of movies.
Yep.
And I will say, like, I was blown away by that movie. And there's a part at the end of that movie where you know what it's about, obviously, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay. There's a part in that
It's a
movie
Michael
where they
Keaton
just
movie. Trust me, I still know about the movie.
okay. At the very end, they just have a list of cities in the US where it just lists um cities where there's been Catholic priests who have
Sexually
molested.
assaulted or raped or
Yes.
molested boys. Yes.
Yeah, where there's been those cases. And it just keeps going on, on. And it just like was so impactful. And I was like, when I came out of that theater, I was like, okay, it's gonna win Best Picture. Like it just was like after that I was like, yep, it's going to. So after after seeing it, I was like, yeah. That that experience I do really love Fury Road, but I'm completely fine with Spotlight.
I have no issue with Spotlight from what I've seen, and it's clearly a very impactful piece of material. I mean, it made waves in real life, and then Spotlight came out and made it even bigger. And I'm glad because I've never seen publicly the same sentiments for the Catholic Church prior to that coming out. Obviously, it's the Catholic Church. They're doing just fine, and they still make money hand over
Yeah.
fist, and they keep doing all their corrupt shit. Fuck the Catholic Church. I want to say that personally right now.
Yeah, I should say we are definitely in the camp of like it's a good thing that it's being taken down and that
I
notch.
I
So
again, this is not a question of faith. Churches are not about faith; they're about organization. Fuck the Catholic Church. And if you want to come after me, go for it. I don't give a fuck. I'm glad Spotlight did that. That's awesome. And I'm glad that the original story broke from the Boston Globe. Finally, someone covered this shit. Because it should have been
yeah,
covered for years. I've seen so many goddamn documentaries of people that grew up in the Catholic Church, were sexually assaulted, molested, raped, whatever you may want to say. And it's just like, how many people went through this goddamn experience before someone's going to say something? And how do people
exactly.
still go to the fucking Catholic Church just going like, yeah? I mean,
It just
I have
yeah,
extended
it's just
family.
the thing that's accepted.
I have
Yeah.
extended family who they will remain nameless, but for years we're still giving money to the Catholic Church. I'm like, no, 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 no. This isn't paying for like Friday fish fry. This is going back to the people that are enabling people to rape, pillage, plunder people's lives. Fuck that. Don't do that shit. Go find another charitable cause. Don't fucking trust them. They're a bunch of snakes. Fuck them. Fuck all of them. So, good on Spotlight to do that. I just think Mad Max Fury Road is legitimately perfect. Ergo, it should win.
Sure. Yeah.
To bring it back to
Do you have any
movies.
other do you have any other changes?
Nope, no changes.
Okay.
I don't have another. There's not a. As you know, I'm far more of a popular movie watcher as opposed to an Oscar movie watcher. There's
Okay.
not. I don't. There's not a single movie that I think is of that caliber to be put into that discussion outside of Fury Road.
Okay.
I think Inside Out could maybe make a discussion for a Best Picture
That's
nom.
one I have. I took out Brooklyn and Bridge of Spies, which is surprising considering it's Spielberg
Spielberg with
doing
Tom
the
Hanks and it's fucking good.
yeah. I
Still
love
never seen it all the way through, but
I really like Bridge of Spies and Brooklyn. They're not as good as Inside Out or Sicario.
all
So
right, fair.
yeah, those are the two changes. But yeah, overall, I actually think the slate of best pictures are actually all really good.
Okay. I mean, I don't think that's. I think that's a good reflection of what it should be.
I think the worst one is probably The Martian, and that's still enjoyable watch.
Yeah. Favorite movie of the year.
Probably Inside Out.
Oh, okay.
or Sicario. It's tough.
I so I have two here. Mad Max Fury Road obviously would be in that discussion, but this is also a sentimental favorite beyond the fact that it's a comfort watch for me. Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. I thought it was 2016, came out late 2015. I love that movie, and now it's become a very sentimental favorite due to some family ties as well. So those two are the ones that. The more I think about Mad Max Fury Road, the more I respect it and like it. So
I mean,
there's a chance. Spoiler alert: it may or may not be in my top 100. There's a chance I'm gonna have to revisit this as we're recording those shows because I'm gonna keep going. I think I might like it more than this. I think I might like it more than this.
yeah, hey, that happens.
That happens a lot. All right, we're gonna move from 2015 to 2016. The year that was, Finding Dory is the number one film of the year. We also have Rogue
Yeah.
One, a Star Wars story, Captain America Civil War, The Secret Life of Pets, the live action Jungle Book, Deadpool first releases into theaters in 2016, Zootopia, Batman vs. Superman, which I got to see two advanced press screenings of, and
Huh.
drank some Kool Aid on it and now realize that movie's garbage. Suicide Squad, which I always knew was garbage. Doctor Strange, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Moana, which I did not know was that old. The Revenant still gets into the top 15 because it was released so late in the game. That also happened with American Sniper in 15, and Force Awakens also was in 2016's highest grossing because of how late they were in releases. Jason Bourne is in 2016, Star Trek Beyond, and X-Men Apocalypse. So those are your bigger movies of 2016.
And to highlight the what we were talking about earlier with Producers Guild, Deadpool was one of their nominees for best movie of the year. So
I have a theory. I have a theory to talk about as we get into it. I have two small technical shoutouts. I don't have any changes.
I have zero technical changes.
The
So go ahead.
only the only shoutouts, again, it's a dreadful movie. And we've talked about this before with some of his other work. The one thing you can't shit on Zack Snyder movies for, the cinematography is great. I think Batman vs Superman, the cinematography is great. The movie is dreadful. I want to make that very clear. It's hyper
I
problematic, but I think the cinematography in that film is tremendous.
I guess it's just from my personal point of view. I find myself, especially now, leaning so far away from that style
Oh yeah, I don't like the
of like.
style, but it's just hyper style that's worthy of
I
recognition.
mean, and I mean like just like the so clearly everything is just like virtual city apes, you know?
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough from time to time, but I think the way things are shot, because some of the stuff that impresses me the most in that movie is the more personal shots. Actually, it's not the big spectacle that people would be like, "Oh, of course that." I'm like, no, I'm actually thinking of the intensity shots that he's going like zoom out close ups with Ben Affleck getting the anger of Batman. Some of the stuff he's shooting with Lois Lane or the end towards the funeral and things of that nature. That's actually what impresses me more cinematography than the obvious like the whiz bang pow of it all. Um, so that would be one, and then again a shout out for costume design to Rogue One. I think Rogue One the costuming is very good. It I think it is incredible the achievement Rogue One does on so many levels of making you believe this is the same era as the original Star Wars. And yet it still has something new to say. And that's something I think is phenomenal for Rogue One. But those are my only two technical shout outs, and I don't have anything in the Big Six. I really don't. I have one discussion piece that I could think of.
So in terms of the ceremony, Damien Chazelle is the youngest director to win, broke an 85-year record. Pretty impressive. Um, yeah, Norman Torog was the person who won in, I think, 31, I want to say, for Skippy.
Okay.
Which that's the one movie that I have not seen of Best Director.
The
Because I
only
cannot
one?
find, yeah, of all the Best Director winners, that's the one I have not, because I can't find it anywhere.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Yeah, so Damien Chazelle won when he was 32 years old.
Impressive.
Viola Davis wins an Oscar, so she's one step closer to an EGOT. All she needs is her Grammy now. Don't
How
know
is
how
she...
she's gonna get that one, but maybe she could just produce something for
Okay.
someone.
And for those who are not in the know, the EGOT would be...
Uh, so you got to get your Emmy,
Emmy.
your
Graham.
Grammy, your Oscar, and your Tony.
Yeah, I don't know how she's gonna get that Grammy.
And she actually got her Tony for the same exact role that she got her Oscar,
It's
both
fence.
for playing
It's for fences, right?
fences. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Um, and then La La Land is only the third film in Oscars history to have 14. So
Never seen it. Never was interested.
highly overrated.
I remember you defending La La Land to me at one point, but
Okay, it's a good movie, but I think I just got so hyped up to the point where I was like really disappointed with it.
sure.
'Cause it was so built up because I was like, all I heard about it was like it was Best Picture nailed on. I was like, okay, great, looking forward to it. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's nowhere because the musical. So when I went into a musical expecting a musical Best Picture winner or potential winner, I was expecting like Sound of Music, Singing in the Rain, something to that caliber,
Yeah.
and it is nowhere near that. So I mean, it looks amazing. That's why it won cinematography, but it's lacking in a lot of other aspects.
Sure. I
So
never intrigued me. I don't know if I'm ever gonna watch La La Land. Maybe one day, who knows? But as you know, musicals are not gonna be my first draw. And then on top of it, everything that was being said, I just went,
I think the music is honestly the biggest aspect of the movie.
which is a fucking hilarious as a musical.
Yeah, and City of Stars won Best Song too, which
Oh wait, no,
I don't agree
that's
with.
it's not my
I
cat.
don't agree with it, but
I don't know if there was another song. I did see that, and I was like, I don't know if there's another song I can nominate.
Moana was nominated.
I think that was the one I thought about, where I was like, I
How
don't.
far, how far I'll go. I guess you could have also placed that. You could have also like put another song from Moana,
You're
like
welcome. Could have been in
"You're
there.
Welcome"
Would have
or
loved
that
it.
"Shiny"
I
or
also would have
whatever.
fucking loved to get The Rock an Oscar for a fucking animated movie, just to be like, cool.
Yeah, the other nominees were "The Empty Chair" from Jim the James Foley
Yeah,
Story.
what the fuck
Never
is
even
that?
heard of that.
No idea what that is.
"Can't Stop the Feeling" from Trolls, and "Audition" from La La Land.
I'm
So
not
two
gonna
songs from
lie.
it.
Can't stop the feeling. I think probably should have won. Of what we're
Eh,
giving, I think it could have been better. Here's my issue: modern musicals, when the music is good, whether you like the movie or not, are inescapable. You cannot go in normal life without people listening to the music. Not once in my life have I ever heard anybody listening to La La Land's music.
yeah, that exactly.
And I think
That's
that
why
shows you exactly the
it's
problem.
lackluster.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's lackluster. So joins Titanic and All About Eve. 14. No, what can you do?
And none of them are as good as
So
Return of the King, so it doesn't matter.
so you said you have zero changes in the six.
I have a discussion point, but I don't know if I can even
Or
argue
I
it.
mean the 5, I should say.
Yeah, the five I don't have.
Yeah, I have 0 changes as well. I have a couple shout outs to say.
So, what are our winners
Um,
of our big five?
so you got Damien Chazelle for director for La La Land, Casey Affleck, Manchester
Manchester
by
by the
the Sea,
Sea.
Emma Stone winning for La La Land, Mahershala Ali for Moonlight, Viola Davis for Fences. And I just want to give a quick shout out. The BAFTAs give Dev Patel supporting actor win. Good job, BAFTAs.
You and the fucking Dev Patel love, dude. I'm not saying Dev Patel is bad, but you fucking love Dev Patel.
He's great. I love him.
Oh god, yeah, I don't have a single thing to say about it. Honestly, I think Ryan Reynolds deserves some love for Deadpool. I really do. It's not even me being
They
sarcastic.
they don't give comedies any recognition, so I wouldn't hate it.
Because the thing is this, but we're transition into Best Picture, because then I think this discussion can take
Yeah.
place.
So just a quick shout outs. Sonny Puar plays. You probably haven't seen Lion, one of the Best Picture nominees. Plays the kid version of Dev Patel, and he has to be like 6 years old, but he's like fantastic in that movie.
Okay.
Um, Daniel Radcliffe in Swiss Army Man, where he plays a corpse, fantastic. Amy Adams in Arrival, Paul Dano in Swiss Army Man, David Mackenzie who directed Hell or High Water. I love Hell or High Water, so yeah, just a couple shout outs. And then Best Picture, actual winner was a controversy where they announced La La Land because they gave it to two elderly people who cannot differentiate between
The winner
having.
font and the nomination font.
Well, no, they were given Emma Stone La La Land. They were given the Best Actress envelope.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, great job. They're just yeah. So they announced La La Land. Yeah. So Moonlight wins, and then other nominees you got Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, La La Land, Hell or High Water, Lion, Hidden Figures, and Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. 2016 is a collection of movies that A, don't intrigue me that much, but B, frightening because I'm like, oh, didn't that just come out like a year or two ago? And I'm like, fuck, that was 8 years ago now, almost
Yeah,
9 years ago.
that's true. That's true.
It's scary that we're getting this far away from it. But alas, I don't have anything to say about this for Best Picture though. I honestly could have saw some love for Deadpool. I really could have. I think Deadpool.
Hey,
I
Producers Guild, they agree with you.
Here's my reasoning behind that. Deadpool breaks new ground on everything. Why don't we take a character who, in and of himself, as a human being, is not very likable, and make him the most likable character ever? I'm not saying that's never been done in film before. It has, but then you put it into the fact that this is a modern superhero film with next to no budget in comparison to its counterparts. We're going to make it a fourth wall awareness movie, which never happens, with a comedy aspect to it, but it's also a romantic comedy and an action film that holds up on all three categories.
Sure.
It just fucking works. I don't know what else
I
to
don't
say. It just fucking works.
I don't really love what it ushers in, but I do love the first one because
I
to me the first one ushers in like, kind of like it ushers in like, the death of sincerity or like Like
Sure.
you can no longer be
Sincere.
uh, yeah, you can't, or like you can't be. Yeah, I guess that is the word, sincerity. Like you cannot be sincere anymore. You can't or just be curious at all, or can't have a emotional moment without taking the piss anymore. Which that really bothers me after this,
I think that's more of a reflection of the society that we're in and not of Deadpool.
especially in Marvel. Especially in Marvel, they're the worst at that, where they'll have an emotional moment, and then immediately they'll have to take the piss out of it, just because we can't get too serious here. We're Marvel.
So
Like,
that's a different story. Marvel does have that problem, and that is certainly something, which is hilarious because then they have some great moments of gravitas where they actually play it for true emotion afterwards that do
but
work. But then there are moments where you're like, okay, can we not?
but yeah,
But it
those are few and far between.
but I do understand what you're saying. I think also Deadpool is a perfect reflection of society. Like, how often do you go to a movie and people are just rooting for people to get murdered? Not killed, like,
Yeah,
oh, I hope the bad guy gets it. Just like, I hope they get maimed and mutilated because I think it's fucking hysterical.
this is another thing I'll talk about in a couple years, where I said that category change, which yeah, it unfortunately it's just never gonna happen
Yeah.
with movies like that, because the Oscars just love to take themselves way too serious.
Yep.
Because that's where you're just never gonna see horror or like really true horror or true comedy movies ever nominated.
Yeah.
You can kind of see ushering in of those movies, but like you're never gonna see like Anchorman, or the closest you get is like quasi, like where it's like kinda comedy, where it's like the Grand Budapest Hotel. That is a comedy, but
It's not a
it's
comedy. Is we
it's more of an art film than it is a
that's
comedy.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's a great discussion point because what's funny is how all these comedic actors are in true comedies for years in history, then they make a dramatic turn in quasi comedic roles that take advantage of the fact that they have tremendous
Yeah,
comedic timing and ability. And yet everyone's like, "Oh, what a dramatic role." It's like, well, it's kind of still a comedy, but it's not. Well, so you
yeah.
know the
It's like
comedy is. It's like, oh, well, it has
it's like
has it has Bill Murray in it, so it must be a comedy. I'm like, no, that's not inherently true. Not
yeah,
how
it's
it
like
works.
Bill Murray and Lost in Translation.
Yeah,
Like people think that's a comedy. Not really.
no, not at all.
Yeah. Yeah, the only change I had is I took out fences. I just don't it's just not really suited for a film. It is just far more of a stage play to me.
Having
Um,
having read the stage play, yeah, I could
yeah,
see
and then
that.
I put in a movie that I don't need people have seen, but I really love is
What was that?
Sing Street. Probably
Oh,
haven't
you
even
do
heard of
love
it. It's
you.
just
No, I've heard of it because you fucking
yeah,
love Sing Street.
it's just like a really probably like $5 million budget UK film. Got some buzz. It was like on the short list of being a song possibly nominee, but yeah, I really love that movie, but not enough people have seen.
I can attest, you do love that movie tremendously.
Yep.
You would not stop singing its praises for years after you saw it.
And this is also where we start seeing the ushering in of like the what I would call like the LGBT era with Moonlight, where this is where it's the true start of it.
where almost every year there is a movie of someone just portraying the life of an LGBTQ character.
Well, it's going to start exploding from here,
Yeah. Um, but alas,
which
what
isn't
is?
a bad thing. It's just
Yeah, it's just funny how it again. We have to have this discussion because movies are a reflection of the time period that they're made. And this 15 and 16 specifically are the rise of Donald Trump and the far right and the hate against woke movement. Woke inherently is not a bad thing.
true. Yeah.
When you look up what does woke mean, it's the best thing ever. What if we just treated people with respect and actually acknowledge people's life experience? Whoa, crazy, right? It's all it is. But it's like, oh, these woke people just, oh, gotta have a gay character, gotta have a trans character. It's like I remember a more modern film. What is it? Man Named Otto. Whatever the fucking Otto movie with Tom Hanks.
Yeah. A man named.
Man Named Otto. And I remember a coworker that I had just being like, why did the kid have to be trans? I was just like, that's the whole point. Is to show the humanity of this guy. That even as a curmudgeon old fuck, he understands right from wrong and treating people with respect. That's the whole point. It's just basic humanity. Why are you only fixated on, well, why couldn't they tell that story without a trans kid? It's like, because they fucking told it with a trans kid. Who cares? Like, but this is a perfect example of kind of setting the stage of what is and what isn't. Why I think Deadpool is a perfect nod of where we are in society. Society is beaten down so often that you're like, fuck it. I have no choice but to laugh my ass off at stupid shit. Because I don't have a choice.
Yeah, you get movies ahead of their time like Brokeback Mountain, which was like recognized, but would have been like swept, had it come out in a time like
Brokeback Mountain
this.
comes out in 2015 or 2016. It sweeps everything.
Exactly.
It just goes mine.
Yeah.
Because now a good portion of society is ready for that.
Exactly.
It's that simple. Brokeback Mountain is also a trailblazer because it allowed people to see that and go, wait, maybe I need to challenge my conventions. And that's the worst part is when you get a flood, so to speak, of movies with LGBTQ plus characters, characters of color, all this other stuff, where it's just always, why can't the white man be in it? It's like, really? That's all you see?
Yep.
You can't see the human experience in here? You can't see the journey and just appreciate it for the even if you're like, hey, it's not my life, I don't really understand it. You can't just look at the movie and go, oh, I get it. The first thing out of your mouth has to be bitching and moaning up a storm. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
It is. Yeah, it's annoying. That's for sure.
All right, what's your favorite movie of 2016?
Oh,
It's Sing Street. You don't have to say it. It's Sing Street.
I think it's Hell or High Water, right?
Oh, wow. Sing Street almost had that title for a long time.
It probably would have been, but I think over time, I think Hell or High.
I would split it between Rogue One or Deadpool. Not sure which one. I love Rogue One. I think Rogue One is...
There's parts of Rogue One that are great, but overall, it's just...
I think Rogue One might be second or third best Star Wars movie. Which, I know that if you actually look at rankings, 5 of them are trash. So that's not like saying...
yeah, I would agree with that.
That's not saying as much as people think it might. But at the same time, it is just like, when you first say it, people are like, whoa. But then you go... Like,
reviews for my thoughts on those.
But check out last week's episode on Revenge of the Sith, and you'll hear what we have to say about some of this stuff. So, I think Rogue One's great, and I love Deadpool, so that'd be it. But we're going to transition to 2017 in just a second. Transition into 2017 here, folks. The year that was. And what a gut punch it was in some ways. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Beauty and the Beast, starring Emma Watson. Wonder Woman, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming. You see a trend in the top 5 anywhere? I don't know. It, Thor: Ragnarok, Despicable Me 3, Logan, Fate of the Furious, Justice League, Dunkirk, Coco, Lego Batman, and Get Out. Those are your top grossers of 2017. Some good there, some bad there.
I was about to say mixed bag.
Very mixed bag. I have
Also, to illustrate the point again, Wonder Woman nominated for Producers Guild as Picture of the Year. Yeah,
Wonder Woman. I almost wish there was like a best scene category, just so you could highlight some scenes.
trench scene.
The trench scene in Wonder Woman is one of the most impactful scenes in a movie I've ever seen. It is
great.
It is so good. And you understand that character. It brings tears to my eyes almost every time I even think about it. Because you understand that character so well. And they hit the music right. Oh, God. So good. The No Man's Land scene in Wonder Woman is next level. Patty Jenkins is a fucking genius for that alone. But yeah, I have shout outs more than I have changes.
Just real quick on the actual ceremony. Greta Gerwig, 5th woman nominated for Best Director.
Wow.
And Jordan Peele, 5th black person to be nominated for Best Director.
I think that was shown that those two are pretty goddamn good. So, yeah.
Yes. Yep. E. Reeves is the first black woman nominated for Adapted Screenplay for Mudbound. And Jordan Peele is the first black person to win Original Screenplay. So a couple trailblazers.
Fucking woke Hollywood. No, genius. That's what it is. It's great that these people are finally getting recognized for great fucking good.
Yeah. So that's where the Oscars so white controversy, it's showing it's paying off.
Yeah.
Like they are making strides to starting to pay off at least.
They're trying. The thing I don't understand with like it happened with Me Too as well, and like all these other movements. Those movements don't start because people are trying to bitch. Those movements start because real shit has happened and people connect over it and they want to see change. That's it.
Hey, I'll give them this. Like, say what you will about the Oscars, about it being pretentious and all that. At least they try. Like they did try to they try at least a more modern.
They're trying. They're getting better. I don't think it's where it needs to be, but I think they're getting better.
I appreciate that they're trying to find them between tradition and modern.
I have more nominations that I would have liked to see versus.
Oh, I actually only have one
else.
technical, so I'll just go first.
Go for it.
The nomination for original screenplay for Coco. I love that movie.
Coco's tremendous.
So.
Coco's phenomenal, and I would back that one for a nomination. I think Coco's so good.
I would say, I don't know if I'd go so far saying perfect, but I'd say near.
It's damn good. Again,
and it makes me cry like a baby every watch.
I mean, if Coco is one of those movies where if you're not crying at some moments, it's kind of like this is more a reflection on you than it is on the movie.
Yeah.
Makeup and hairstylings. I would have liked to see a nod for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, or specifically Wonder Woman. It's a fucking period piece and it couldn't even do it.
Like, yeah. Winner is Darkest Hour, which I actually do agree with that. Winning.
It was just one of those.
Turned Gary Oldman into Churchill, so that is actually impressive.
Yeah, I'm not bitching out the win. I'm just saying for a nomination, I'm like, what more can a good superhero movie do than be tailor made for your normal ass expectations and be like, nah, we don't wanna.
Once again, only 3 nominees.
Also, it bothers me. It's stupid that there's only 3 nominees in that category, especially in today's modern takes where we're trying to do so many crazy things with cinema. Music score, I would have liked to see a nomination for Hans Zimmer for his Wonder Woman theme because that theme's fucking rad.
Hey, got one for Dunkirk. What do you want?
I think Wonder Woman's better.
Uh, yeah,
Specifically, the Wonder Woman theme, I think, is so fucking good that I'm like, come on. Again, I'm not expecting a win here. This isn't my usual Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer's just better, and he deserves it.
I don't actually know if that would be eligible.
Or should it be original song then?
No, because the Wonder Woman theme is actually introduced in Batman.
I know, but still, fuck them.
Yeah.
Costume design.
One of those weird things.
Costume design, again, I would have liked to seen a nod for Wonder Woman. I think the costume design that is impeccable. Really sets the time frame up extremely well. And it's just a great period piece.
That's one where, like, it's so clearly going to Phantom Thread. Like, it was obviously going there.
Yeah.
Because it's literally about fashion. So it's just like, yeah, obvious.
And fuck the fashion movies. I don't really care.
That movie is good. I will say that. For
And then,
a movie that I would hate, it actually is.
And then I would have liked to seen at least a nod or a shout out for adapted screenplay for It. It Part 1 is very good. And it's a great adaptation of the screenplay. And adapting the shit that's bad about it and turning it good.
That's true, considering the book is absolutely fucking batshit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another reason why I'm like, we all know. And we've changed it for the better, guys.
Yeah. So going into the other categories, you got Guillermo del Toro winning for The Shape of Water, actor Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour, actress Frances McDormand winning again for Three Billboards, supporting actor Sam Rockwell also winning for Three Billboards, and Allison Janney winning I, Tonya.
I, Tonya, talk about a movie that got a ton of hype and I don't understand it.
It's good, but pretty forgettable. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen bits of it and I'm like, okay, sure.
All those, in terms of the like acting categories, those were all like, there was no races. Every single one was like pretty obvious to.
I'm noticing that in these years, that from 15 onward, it kind of feels like there's not much competition, and 16 to 18 is just not much of a competition.
It's actually pretty bad in terms of like the show. It's like, okay, like pretty obvious who's gonna win every single time.
Yeah,
which is a shame, but at times there's nothing you can do about it.
It happens in sports. It happens in entertainment. Sometimes there's just something that steamrolls, and you know you got to go with it. I could have seen a nom for Best Actor. I think Hugh Jackman in Logan is incredible.
That's the one I have down.
I think he's... If there was ever a superhero movie outside of The Dark Knight that I thought would finally get some fucking pub...
Hey,
I thought Logan was
for adapted screenplay,
which again is incredible, and I think they was well deserved. I just thought if one of these goddamn movies is gonna do it, it's gotta be Logan.
Yeah, I mean that is the best chance. That's for damn sure.
Because Logan is not a traditional. Logan is a western with a superhero. Logan is not.
Yes.
A superhero movie.
Yeah, and I also have down supporting actor Patrick Stewart.
Thought about that one too. I'm not gonna lie. I could have even seen supporting actress for Daphne Keane, because I think she's incredible in that.
I don't think she does enough in it.
Yes,
that's the problem.
Yes, that's why I didn't say that. But I was like, I thought about it. Logan's so goddamn good. Logan's so good.
I would love to see Jordan Peele win for Get Out, but like, took home screenplay, so that's why I'm like.
I thought about that. Let me talk about that more. Let's go to Best Picture.
Just a couple quick shout outs to Lee Unkrich and Adrian Molina. I would have loved to see them get a directing nomination for Coco. No directors ever get nominated for animated movies.
And it's bullshit.
Don't know why. It is complete bullshit. It doesn't make any sense to me. And then Catherine Keener in Get Out. Quick in that movie.
I also thought about supporting actress for Allison Williams in Get Out. That's another great
Yeah.
performance.
Very hateable. Yes.
Very hateable. And you can tell a lot that I tend to like the heels in movies that I'm like, they're fucking good.
Best picture, we got The Shape of Water winning. Other nominees: Darkest Hour, Iron, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
I have the change.
Okay.
I truly like Shape of Water. I think it's a great movie. Get Out's better.
I also have Get Out winning. Yes.
Get Out is
an
incredible film.
I actually just rewatched Shape of Water ago, and I actually did really like it more than I probably saw it like 3 ago rewatch.
Yeah.
And I did like it more than I did before. But yeah, Get Out still enjoy a lot more.
I'm okay with the director going to Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
Because of the things that he had to manage in that with the special effects and really making that creature come to life to making it so good. And also, I just always think of the scenes.
Well, I think the star of Get Out is the screenplay.
Yeah. The other thing, I would say another nom for supporting actor. I didn't see if he was nominated or not. Michael Shannon in Shape of Water is incredible. I thought he got a nom, but I couldn't remember.
Oh, Richard Jenkins was.
Michael Shannon is incredible in that movie. Also, my wife's gym buddy, Michael Shannon. There's a story behind that.
Remember that. Also, you have Christopher Plummer nominated for All the Money in the World after he replaced Kevin Spacey.
Yeah,
that controversy.
Yeah, I remember that one. But I think Get Out is a better movie than The Shape of Water, and I think there's so much more emotion and then messaging behind it that's really, really important. And normally I'm not the guy that says, well, the message is so important. Like I just said about Selma. Just because we're covering something in history that's super impactful does not ergo mean the movie is better. I just think the subversive way in which Get Out tells you so much about the experience of people of color in this country.
Yeah.
And what it feels like to just exist sometimes and then can turn it into a psychologically thrilling masterpiece is
it manages to be both very funny and also like subversive in the best way.
Yeah. Get Out's so fucking good.
Yeah. Which is why I say the screenplay is the best part of it.
Yeah.
I also had one change in terms of nominations. Darkest Hour is really one of the biggest nominations in the last 10 years. Movies.
It's a performance. It's not a movie.
Yeah, a movie's not great. So I put Coco in because I think that's easily one of the best movies the past 10 years.
Coco's fucking great.
I don't know what it is about the Academy after Toy Story 3. They're just like, okay, we're done nominating.
I think Toy Story 3, again, it's the same thing we talk about. I bring up all the time with The Dark Knight. I think it's the exact same story. Stop telling us we already have our way of doing this. That's where it's going to be. And I disagree, and I think it's horseshit.
It's so stupid, because it's like, okay, we expanded this thing to 10 movies, up to 10 movies. Okay, but it's just like, you're never going to recognize a complete film.
I think the other thing is that
super annoying.
When you talk about animation, immediately, and I can't lie, I do the same thing. It'll be reflected in my top 100. I'm not inherently drawn to animation most of the time. There are a lot of incredible Pixar and Disney films and other films across studios that I find to be incredible, incredibly moving, that I've had very deep experiences with, but they don't stick with me very much. I'd remember the moment, but I don't remember the movie
I would
being that
agree with that,
impactful.
but
But
I
I
would
just think
argue
there's
Coco is one.
Coco is. I think Coco deserves the recognition that you're trying to give it. I want to make it clear. I just think there's a lot of people that just go, animation's for kids. And I don't think that's right. I think
That's
that's bullshit, but I think that's what,
that's true.
because I there are many years that the animated film is the most impactful film for many people. I wouldn't be shocked if in 10 to 15 years time that changes, because now we've grown up. The academy that will be in 15 to 20 years has now grown up in the era of Pixar, where Pixar is incapable of making a movie that's not emotionally moving. Even if the movie's not good, it's moving in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, as long as Pixar stays in terms of caliber.
Yeah, but you don't do you understand what I'm saying? It's like,
Yes, I do. Yeah,
because even the stuff that they're not super recognized for, I find to be some of their best work.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, I forgot the BAFTA Rising Star. Forgot to quiz you. Well, I'll start. 2017. Florence Pugh, Josh O'Connor, Tessa Thompson, Timothy Chalamet, and Daniel Kaluuya. Who do you
I'm
think?
assuming that that went to. So it should go to Florence Pugh. That's who it should go to.
Okay.
Something tells me. No. The BAFTAs doesn't fuck up that hard. Well, sometimes they do. With the last times,
Sometimes they do.
I hope it's Daniel Kaluuya, but it probably was Timothy Chalamet.
It was Daniel Kaluuya.
And what's
He
funny
did well.
is he has not gone on to as much success as I thought he would.
Hey, he won an Oscar after this
When?
for Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh yeah, that's part of the ether zone of where I just
Well,
go.
that's
The
part of the
Oscars aren't for
COVID
me.
fog. That's part of the COVID fog.
Yeah, also true. So I can't take. There's a lot of the COVID fog movies that I just didn't watch.
Well, trust me, I am the same.
But yeah, favorite movie of 2017.
It has to be Coco. It has to.
I'm wanting to really. I'm excited to gauge your love for some of these movies in your top 100 as that comes along, because there are movies that like people absolutely love that wouldn't make a list for me, or vice versa. There's movies that I love that didn't make the list for me, and that's how I'm like,
Well, there's the funny thing is there's animated movies that I used to love. Like, I'll just give an example. Up
yeah,
used to be in my top 10 of
yeah,
all time, and has completely fallen off my list of top 100.
that's
So
wild. That's
yeah,
wild to think it was a top 10 and then it just was nothing. Like, there's history in mine that I was like, oh, I think at one time I may have argued that was my favorite movie, and it's not in my even remotely close to my top 10. But to be almost top 10 and then fall to the point where, and it's not like a 7-year old, this is one of my favorite movies, and then you get to an adult and you're like, that movie sucks. Up
oh yeah,
is a universally praised film, so for it to drop out
yeah,
of your top 10 to nothing is wild.
yeah.
My favorite movie is 17. I'm going with It. I love It Chapter 1. That's a
First one's
great
good.
that's a
Too
great
bad the
movie.
second one sucks ass.
God, it was gutting when I went to the theater for It Chapter 2, cuz my wife is deathly afraid of clowns. She hates clowns, and I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm going to the theater by myself." And this is, yeah, 18, 19, we were living in Chicago, so the theater was a bit more of a pain in the ass to go to. So it was a bit more like, you better want to see this fucking movie if we're going. And I remember being like, I guess I'm going to fucking It by myself, and just being in that theater and just going, huh, okay. Because I loved It Chapter
Good
1
movie.
so much.
Yeah.
All right, final year of the show here. We are into 2018. If it was not abundantly clear from the year before, we are in full fledged superhero territory here. Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Incredibles 2, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Spider Man Into the Spider Verse, Deadpool 2, The Grinch, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, Mission Impossible Fallout, Ant Man and the Wasp, Solo, a Star Wars story, Venom, A Star is Born, Aquaman, Bohemian Rhapsody, and A Quiet Place are your top grossers of the year. And there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies about superheroes in the top 15.
Yeah.
Some were great,
Surprising.
some were not.
The surprising Producers Guild nominations for this year were Crazy Rich Asian. I like to see those. In terms of, so the thing I was kept talking about, hinting at, was the category expansion. Was they floated the idea of a popular film category,
That's a bad idea.
and that's what everyone said was did not do this, and it started a whole controversy because it's just like if you do that, that just nullifies like. First off, how do you explain that? Like, what makes a popular film?
Are we talking about box office? Or are we talking about critical?
Exactly.
Like, the closest thing I can even think of to give parameters, and I want to make it clear, this is a bad idea, what I'm about to say. If you're forcing me to say, Evan, you got to make this work. Like, do I just go to the fucking tomato meter at Rotten Tomatoes and just look at the popcorn score?
I think the only thing I could say is, like, box office, I would think. It's the only thing that would make.
And that's the thing is, as we've already experienced on this show, there is some bad top grossing movies of the year. I mean, here, let's go back in the top 15 last year. Like, you have the Justice League is in that.
Yeah.
That movie is dreadful.
Yeah.
I personally also hate Thor Ragnarok. I can't say it's a bad movie. I hate it more than I hate Justice League. And that's saying something because Justice League pisses me off.
Yeah, and then you also get into the thing of like, okay, so if you do have a popular film category, are popular films no longer going to be eligible for Best Picture?
That was the next thing I was about to say.
Yeah, so it's just a bad idea overall.
Because immediately it takes the little shreds of credibility that they've been eking out over the past since the Dark Knight fuck up. I don't care what anyone says. We've already fixed that problem. It's oh fuck, we fucked this one up. We need to do this. This year has a Best Picture nominee that I do not agree with whatsoever, and it's a super popular movie.
Nominee. I mean, I don't agree with the winner being nominated completely.
But when you do that, like for instance, if that was done in 2017, Get Out's probably not nominated for Best Picture. Oh, it's gonna win. It won most popular movie. Most popular movie. You're like, that's not how that works. Get Out's better than everything. Just because it was popular doesn't mean it isn't better than everything else.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes like almost becomes like the MTV Awards kind of thing. Like, it's just like, what are we doing here?
Well, also, haven't they created a new viral category, like most viral movie or whatever, or like or shout outs or some shit like that on the show?
Golden Globes did have a I can't remember what they called it. I'll look it up.
The thing is, this is what I don't understand about the Oscars is for the show, not the awards, but for the show. What I would do is if people are watching the Oscars, you know enough to at least say what was your favorite scene or what was your favorite moment in a movie? Let's take 2017 for example. Again, I don't think Wonder Woman is a Best Picture nominee caliber film. But I think there's a scene in there that is surely Best Picture worthy. Let audiences on social media go, hey, we're going to be playing 10 of your favorite moments from film this year. Has nothing to do with us. This is purely fan vote on Twitter, X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Or, hey, we got this big poll out. Tell us what it is. This is what some of the audience's favorites were. And then you can say, hey, we're acknowledging you guys.
Yeah, it'd be fine. Like, not an official thing.
Exactly. That's what I don't
So the
understand.
Golden Globes added this category. They added award for cinematic and box office achievement.
What does
Yeah,
that even mean?
it was Wicked, Beetlejuice, Gladiator 2, Inside Out.
And
So
and who won?
Wicked.
Why? Inside Out 2 made more money.
I don't know why. It's just voted by the fucking Hollywood Foreign Press. That's why.
And again, it makes no sense then.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with this is you need a voting body that understands blockbuster does not inherently mean popcorn good bad. It means it can be amazing. It also means it can be shit.
Yeah. That's why I'm so glad they didn't do it, because I'm like, oh, that's so risky of a, especially just popular film.
Yeah.
That's a risky thing.
Well, also, what happens in 1999 when or 2000 when you're honoring the movies of '99? Most popular of that movie that year by all metrics is The Phantom Menace. Does that deserve any positive recognition outside of special effects or production design? No.
Obviously not when you have the Mummy and give it to that.
But that, yeah, I'm glad that they didn't do that. It's a bad decision. I almost want to just create a rogue award show. It's like, this is for normal people. And I understand some of those already
The
exist.
normal people awards.
But like these are the normie awards. It's more of an honor to win this than the Oscars, okay? Because the people actually care. And I know people are like, the People's Choice Awards always exist. Fuck the People's Choice Awards, okay? Just normal people saying shit. That's it.
Technical changes. What do you got?
Visual effects, I think, should go to Avengers Infinity War.
That's another one where I go, it's one of those boiling points where First Man is definitely more of a mixture of practical. It's that Interstellar thing where it's practical and CG over something that is definitely CGI heavy.
Yeah. And if it's visual effects, what does that mean? And yeah, it's the boiling point. I just think Avengers Infinity War, incredibly.
I mean, the amount of visual effects in that movie, I can't even guess at how many shots.
I mean, the majority of the movie is visual effects.
Yeah, it has to have like a crazy.
Yeah. And then another change. I want to say this right now. I'm an enormous Lady Gaga fan. You give me a Lady Gaga ballad, I'll lose my shit every day. I fucking love Lady Gaga. All the Stars is a better song. I would go original song. It should be All the Stars from Black Panther. That song's incredible.
I disagree there.
I All the Stars is incredible, and it's got more staying power, which is crazy.
I actually like. Think of it off the top of my head. The other song that Lady Gaga sings in Star is Born. It's called.
I've only seen half that movie, and I watched half of it with no sound through seats on an airplane. So
have you seen the ending?
I know the ending, so it's like, who cares?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I connect with the ending, emotional level. I like her song alone more than I like the ballad of the duet more. But obviously, I understand why that song won. I mean, that song was a fucking phenomenon.
It's an incredible song. I'm not taking anything away from Shallow. It's a great song, and I love it. I'm a huge Lady Gaga fan. I just think All the Stars is a better song. All the Stars is an
Yeah.
incredible because I think it hits. I think it's another boiling point where it's finally like, oh, to me, All the Stars, it's not as good. I want to make that very clear. But to me, it's of a similar vein to Lose Yourself, where it's just like, this song's so fucking good. Can we just stop? It's just so fucking.
It's no Lose Yourself.
No,
Lose
very
Yourself
rarely.
was like
I'm
undeniably
saying in the
great.
same vein, where it's just an influx of popular music of a certain genre that never gets recognized in film. That's what I mean by that. Lose Yourself is a song that everybody on the planet knows, everyone on the
Yeah.
planet should know, and it's a top 100 song of all time. Like Lose Yourself's incredible. I'm not trying to compare it from a like obviously it's the same level. No. Nothing is. Very few songs on this planet are Lose Yourself caliber, right?
Yeah.
But it's just I'm saying of the same ilk being recognized, getting some new flow into there, and I think All the Stars actually has a more of a staying power than Shallow does.
I have one of the most baffling wins is editing for Bohemian Rhapsody. There's like breakdowns on YouTube that everyone should watch of why that film is just a fucking mess in terms of film editing. It is awful. Like it is baffling how it even got nominated.
Let alone one. Yeah.
It's crazy when you watch it. It's like truly I hate that fucking movie so much.
Let's talk about that in the best picture category some more.
Well, I'll be talking about it in the best actor. Sound mixing, I would have loved to see a nomination for A Quiet Place.
I
The
saw
movie's
that.
like because it's so quiet, it's like a contradiction almost. But I really love it. Um,
I mean,
it's
if
kind of
that
the same thing I
does it
talk
achieve the
about
goal
with
that it's supposed to? Yes.
yeah, kind of the same thing I talk about with a blanking on it, Sinister, where it's like very stark. It's horror. And then adapted screenplay nomination for Into the Spider Verse. I fucking love that. Great, so much creativity.
I think Into the Spider Verse. I do have I have a nomination for a big one that I didn't originally have, a late edition. So let's go. I
Um,
agree with you there, though. I think all three big superhero
and
movies
then
that year have a right to be in part of adapted screenplay. I think Black
I
Panther's a great
literally
screenplay for adapted screenplay. I think Infinity War has a right to be in that discussion, and I think Into the Spider Verse does as well.
and then for original screenplay, I wrote literally anything over Green Book. uh,
You really
so
don't like Green Book, man.
Green Book is such a step back for the Oscars. It is like that. That's a movie that should have won 20 years ago, not 2018. It's crazy. It should have won like 50 years ago, not in 2018. It's insane.
Never
I'll
seen it.
talk about it a little bit more.
I've
I'll talk
seen
about
plenty
it
of
a bit
clips
more
of it.
later.
Here's the issue: is so many of these movies, Quiet Place is in there as well. I've seen so many clips of the movie that I'm like, I think I got it. So I just like don't watch
Yeah.
them.
Okay, so director Alfonso Cuarón wins for Roma. Actor Rami Malek wins for Bohemian Rhapsody. Actress Olivia Colman wins for The Favorite. Supporting actor Mahershala Ali for Green Book, and supporting actress Regina King with Beale Street Good Talk. So the thing I wanted to talk about with Rami Malek, usually if a actor wins for portraying a singer, like Jamie Foxx for playing Ray Charles,
Sure.
usually they win because they do the singing themselves. But with Rami Malek, what they decided to do was use his vocals mixed with
Freddie Mercury's.
Freddie Mercury's together. which I'm assuming is mostly Freddie Mercury with Rami Malek, maybe a little bit,
No shit.
which which to me is just like that's it's not really that's like partial his performance. It's not all his performance. Like, is he still acting? Yes, but it bugs me that
If the appeal of the movie is supposed to be the music and the musical component of it, then yeah,
yes,
it's a
and
problem.
and I think most people don't know that about that performance.
Which is wild. How could you not?
Well, I because most people assume that the singer does sing themselves because that is such a thing. Like Joaquin Phoenix, he learned how to sing himself. Amy Fox, he learned how to sing himself. Reese Witherspoon learned how to sing herself. Like they all do. It's just
Well, also it's
they
it's
didn't
a it's a
for
far
this
more
movie.
popular tactic now. I remember the rise of Rebecca Ferguson for Greatest Showman, and I fell in love with
Oh
her
yeah,
because of
she
Mission
didn't.
Impossible.
She
She
did.
didn't sing that song in
She did
Greatest
not.
Showman, but
Yeah,
she was very honest about it. She's like, I didn't sing that.
yeah. But everyone else in that movie did. So it's like it just always bugged me about that movie.
So I've never watched Bohemian Rhapsody, partially out of protest. I didn't understand the appeal, and
Don't worry, you're
admittedly,
not missing anything.
the popularity of that movie made me dislike Queen. Do you know how hard it is to get me to dislike Queen? Queen's a great band.
I fully like. I don't say I hate Bohemian Rhapsody the song, but I like. I used to love that song, and now I'm like, it's like a almost every time I skip it. On
I have never been a huge fan of the single Bohemian Rhapsody itself. I think there's some Zack Snyder masturbatory elements to it where I'm like, cool,
sure,
you did something big.
yeah,
I just think it's bullshit. I think that song is bullshit. I thought that before the movie came out, but I love a ton of Queen's music. Queen was so fucking overplayed
yeah.
because of this godforsaken fucking movie that now I just on habit start hearing Queen and just go skip, skip.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I was already
this
a mood listener of Queen. When I was in the mood for Queen, I was like, ah. When I wasn't in the mood for Queen, I was like, if it's the right song, maybe. Like, I love Radio Gaga. It's one of my favorite songs. There's a lot of other lower key hits that Queen have that I like. A lot of the big stuff that everyone's like, oh, I gotta love it. I'm like, it's fine at best. Or it's not good.
it's I don't want to say it's like a caricature of a performance, but times that's what it feels like to me.
So, in true evaluation, as someone who's watched the film, because again, I didn't watch it out of protest, because then I also got every old relative ever who went to the movie, like, you gotta see Bohemian Rhapsody. And I was like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I don't have to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to see this fucking movie. Because I remember that was in development hell for like 10 years. For years when we were listening to Movie Talk online, it was like,
Well,
oh, they're
it
making this Freddie
changed.
Mercury movie. They're making this Freddie Mercury movie. And I was like, that sounds
Well,
great.
the whole reason that the editing is such a mess is because yeah, it became production hell.
And I had no interest in that fucking movie by the time it came out. I was like, who gives a shit? Who fucking cares? I'm not saying my interest in Freddie Mercury the human being still very high, still very cool.
Yeah,
Very
and it, like
fascinating story.
there's
I don't need it in this
everyone goes
bullshit
like,
movie.
oh, it looks just like the Live Aid performance. I'm like, why do I give a shit? I'll just watch the fucking Live Aid then.
Yeah,
Like,
because that's awesome. Live Aid's great.
yeah, I don't need to watch a recreation of it. Like, I want to watch like things I haven't seen. I want to watch
For
private
instance,
moments
you
that I
watch.
can't see.
Yeah, Live Aid is considered one of the greatest musical events ever held in the history of humanity.
Yeah,
And there's footage of it. So just go watch the footage of it.
exactly.
It's the same thing
I
as
want to see stuff I can't see.
like I'm thankfully there's never been anything to a huge scale to do this. You know I love Jimi Hendrix. If they ever were to recreate Hendrix Monday morning at Woodstock playing the Star Spangled Banner, I don't have any interest in it because there's footage of it. I can just go watch the
Exactly.
actual best in the world do it. I don't need to see your cinematic take on it.
Yeah. That's why I don't understand the love for this movie.
I I think it's simply people
Uh,
like all I have found in my time of hating musicals, because that's what it really is. It's at this point there's somewhat of a blind hatred, and I accept and acknowledge these facts. Okay, there are musicals that I truly love. I cannot stand why magically someone sings in a movie, and that means the movie is better than everything else. And there's a lot of the movie going public of just normal people who think someone sang in movie, ergo, movie better. And that is patently false. It's just wrong.
yeah.
It drives me
I
up the
don't know.
fucking wall.
It does. This movie in particular, it does bother me a lot because this movie is so mediocre.
And that's all I ever heard. And I heard Rami Malek wasn't even that good in the movie. So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I so that's one change I had. I actually really love Ethan Hawke's performance in First Reformed, which is a movie that like pretty much got no recognition this year.
Sure.
He wasn't nominated at all. Yeah, and then another change I had is Tony Collette in Hereditary, which got absolutely no love from anyone. Horror movie,
It's a good movie.
never, never gonna get any love. That's one thing that pretty much you're always gonna see like online is like in terms of this year. Like if you ever look at anything in terms of Oscar snubs of this year, you're gonna see Tony Collette
Hereditary.
being snubbed for Hereditary.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest overlook of all time, pretty much
Yeah.
at this point.
Well, it was a
It's
horror movie, so it
crazy.
doesn't count. You're like, no,
Yeah,
that's not how it fucking
exactly.
works.
And then Mahershala Ali is good in look. That's like the one part of that movie I actually like. But I really love Sam Elliott in A Star Is Born, so it would have been nice to see him win.
We just like Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott's
Exactly.
great.
He's awesome.
Sam Elliott, I mean, my favorite Sam Elliott performance is from fucking Roadhouse. So I love that guy.
I I also love him in Nickelback. It's a
um,
bit performance.
Best picture, the only thing I have there
Oh,
is
quick shout outs. Quick shout outs.
yeah,
Michael B. Jordan, Black Panther. He's great in it.
yes.
Like like the one part of that movie I actually really love.
I could have saw a
Um
supporting actor nom for him. I could have.
yeah, that Emily Blunt in A Quiet Place and Alex Wolff is also great in Hereditary. Yeah. So best picture. Green Book takes it home because the Oscars are good. Black Panther is nominated. Black Klansman, Roma, A Favorite, A Star Is Born, Bohemian Rhapsody, Vice.
Wrong superhero movie was nominated.
Hey, we actually agree. Black Panther should be nominated.
Black Panther holds a very special place in my heart for sentimental reasons. When I look at it just as a film, I don't understand why it was nominated for this picture. I don't get it.
I actually would say if it didn't have such a mess of a third act, yeah, I'm completely fine with it being. But because the third act is like actually baffling in terms of like how much of a mess it is.
Could be better.
Like it's truly baffling. Like it and they go into that like train place,
The
you know?
afterlife with the Panthers. Is that what you're talking
And
about?
it like that CGI fight with the train.
Oh, the train fight. Yeah,
That looks like a PS2 fight. It looks it looks awful. It's insane.
A PS2 fight.
It's bad. It looks awful. And then the big ass fight with the rhinos and stuff. It's just stupid. It just didn't turn into a typical Marvel movie at the end. Then it would be as picture worthy, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that. I think I understand how important Black Panther is. I have super fond memories of that movie on multiple different waves with people. I remember the first night at opening night we went, and there was legit 30 people in a group, all in traditional African garb, some of them cosplaying from parts of the movie, some of them just wearing very traditional garb of the areas of Africa that they were clearly echoing in Black Panther. And to watch them enjoy that movie was the same experience I got while watching Wonder Woman with a bunch of very, very important women in my life that just went, I get this. This is the first time you've ever gotten this. And it feels great to be able to experience that with you and to understand that. Same deal. I was a summer camp counselor that year. I had the fourth grade group. We ended our day in the library every day, and there was a TV for the end of the day. I think we put on Black Panther 4 out of 5 days every time we could. Because my kids would not stop. They're just like, I want to watch Black Panther. But I'm on the south side of Chicago. I'm working with all black kids. That was great. It was a wonderful experience. And at first I was like, why do they want to keep watching this fucking movie? But then I was like, oh, I get it. This is what I had as a kid, but they finally get it. If you would have asked, hey, Evan, do you want to watch Batman every day? I would have been like, yeah, let's fucking do it. I get it.
Yeah.
But in terms of just the craft of the film, I don't think that's an Oscar-worthy Academy Award winner or Academy Award nominee. And the other thing is, I think Into the Spider-Verse is an Academy Best Picture nominee.
That's one of the things I have down. And then, so I talk about Green Book. The thing that really baffles me about that movie is it handles the gay aspect of the Mahershala Ali character with such grace and such subtlety that it's so baffling how it handles the race aspect of the movie. Like the race aspect of it is like so ham-handed and so on the nose that it's like Crash, where it's just like racism is bad. You should treat people with respect. It's just like, yeah, no fucking shit. We understand that, assholes. It's just like, it's like I said, it should have in the 60s when the civil rights movement was happening. Like, then it would have been revolutionary. Sure. It's not revolutionary in the 80s.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've never seen Green Book. I've seen a lot of clips of Green Book, but I've never seen Green Book itself.
It does handle Mahershala Ali's character is gay in it. That is a reveal. And it handles that pretty well. Like, it's pretty subtle. And it does Viggo Mortensen's character is like this big brusque, like Jersey guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that part of it is actually treated with grace and dignity, and it's like, how is the rest of the film so crap compared to this? It is so baffling.
It's how movies work sometimes, unfortunately.
So to me, that shouldn't even be nominated for this picture.
So what would be your change then?
Easily, I honestly say it's easily one of the bottom. I don't know if I'd say bottom 10, but definitely bottom 15 best picture winners of all time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is a bold choice, but I say Hereditary should have won. If not that, if I had to pick a winner in terms of the actual nominee, I would have went Roma. That was probably like, oh, that was definitely like the if it wasn't Green Book, it was definitely Roma because those were like the two contenders going in. But I really love Hereditary.
You
And
do
then
Hereditary.
I
Hereditary
would
to
have
me is
taken.
good. I don't see the hype about
Oh,
it, but it's good.
I love it. I love it so much. I would have taken out Green Book, Black Panther, and Bohemian Rhapsody. Like I said, I think it's shit. And I would have put in Hereditary, First Reformed, and Into the Spider.
Fair. Also, just a great story I heard about the character Black Panther was there was a movie screen. I think it was the guys in Russell Talk. They also cover movies. And, they go to Black Panther and they have the experience with everybody. And then they go into Infinity War. Spoilers to Infinity War for our comic book nerds who always are way too protective of the spoilers. In the end of Infinity War, Black Panther is one of the ones that gets dusted by the snap. Apparently, in their screening, there was a woman of color where T'Challa gets snapped, and she just like sat up and screamed in tears, like "Not my king!" And I was like, "That's nice." And like another way to show how important that character is, and just the hilarity of "Not my king!" No, is hilarious to me, and I always love spreading that story wherever I can because I'm like, no, it shows representation's important, and it's just
Yeah.
great. But it's
Yeah, but once
hilarious to see
again,
that.
Into the Spider Verse, their animated movie not getting
Into the Spider Verse is
nearly
a
enough.
true achievement of genius.
It
It's
does
so
win.
good.
It wins the animated movie, but
As it should. It's a landslide. Incredibles 2 is a phenomenal movie, and it's nowhere near as good as Into the Spider Verse.
I would agree.
Do you know how hard that is? Incredibles 2 is one of the most wanted sequels of all time. And Incredibles 2 is legitimately a great movie. And it's not even close to
I don't
Into
know
the
if I'd
Spider
say
Verse.
great, but
I think
it's
it's a great
good.
movie. And it's nowhere close to Into the Spider Verse. That's how good Into the Spider Verse is. It's wild.
Yeah. After Rising Star,
Oh, God.
Harry Keoghan, Cynthia Erivo, Letitia Wright, Jesse Buckley, and
What was the last one?
Keith Stanfield.
Let's go with just for wicked's sake. Let's go for Cynthia Erivo. I don't know.
Letitia Wright.
Letitia Wright also that makes sense. I don't agree with that, but
Or either do I.
I'm
But what can you do?
I'm kind of over her, frankly. I'm
Yeah.
Actually I'm not gonna lie. Specifically, the production into Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. I was really over her. I was just like, can you just shut up, please? You're making this worse, not better.
Yeah. Yeah, Hereditary is definitely my favorite movie of the year.
I went with Deadpool 2. I think Deadpool 2 is superior to Deadpool 1. Um,
Oh. Oh.
I just think there's more emotion to it. I think they take some steps in the right direction. I think also the action
Does
gets
have
better.
Josh Brolin though. Josh Brolin's awesome.
Also, I think it has possibly the best sequence of the entire franchise.
I still have not seen the third one, so I can't say.
Okay, well, we can fix that soon if you want to. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine is good, but the helicopter dive or the plane
That was
dive
fun.
is
That's great.
and also one of the best cameos ever. Just Brad
That is
Pitt
good,
for
yeah.
2 seconds getting electrocuted to death. Glorious, glorious times. But that would be my favorite. But that has been our Oscar reviews for 2014 through 2018. There's always a lot to say, even when there's not a lot to say.
Yeah, apparently.
Apparently. Any other thought whatsoever before we close this show down? Fair enough. Fair enough. But stay tuned. Next week, we start our top 100 films of all time, which is going to be fun because we're going to get shit on tremendously because remember, it's a personal top 100.
Sure.
But nonetheless, it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Go check out last week's episode if you want to hate us for our Star Wars opinions even more. Be fun, but really, we're just having fun enjoying the show with you guys. So Stay tuned. We'll catch you next time. Go watch a great movie. Peace, love, and hugs. Goodbye!